Fundamentally, managing diabetes means balancing the rise from food and the drop from insulin. That means the number one skill to manage diabetes would be to understand how and when food raises your blood sugar and how and when insulin drops your blood sugar. If you knew that, you would know how to balance the two. For a long time, I didn't fundamentally understand what was going on with diabetes. It was just one of those, I eat, I take insulin, and whatever. So let's break down a little bit better with a clearer realization of what diabetes is, what it means, and how to properly manage it. This is something that frankly took me a really long time to understand. So food plus insulin equals blood sugar. Now, get these two right and your blood sugar is usually what you predict. So I know if I eat 10 grams of carbs, take 1 unit of insulin, in 2 hours, my blood sugar will be almost identical to what it is right now. Now, obviously, there's factors like hormones, stress, exercise, when you wake up, when you go to bed, things like that, that absolutely 100% affect your blood sugar. But fundamentally, you can't quite control those. You can correct for them and you can get better at correcting for them. But you can't control them at the same degree that you can control food and insulin. And also, they don't impact your blood sugar as much as these two. So I focus in really, really hard on these two, getting these right, and it leads to level blood sugar, at least for me, and also the people that I've worked with. So I'm going to use an example of a buddy that DM'd me not too long ago, and he sent me a graph, and this is going to be simplified. But the graph looked a little bit something like this. And I told him, well, I asked him first. I said, okay, what are you eating here, and also where are you giving insulin and what type of insulin? So I asked food, insulin, timing, and then insulin type. So he told me he ate here, gave insulin here, and then he came back down and then went back up. So he didn't eat again. This was all just one meal. And this was his dinner too, which is obviously, well, not obviously, but in my opinion, it is the hardest meal of the day because it's important because you're about to go to bed, but it's hard because it's the busiest time of the day for most people. At least it is for me. So, and getting dinner right is, dinner and breakfast are the two most important meals for diabetics to get right. And then increase your dose by 1 unit. But the important part here was to take a second dose of insulin here. So this was about 3 hours apart. And then he started going up again. So this right here, this entire spike, this is all from carbs, which is why I suggested lowering the carbs and then taking a second dose to correct for this. So this rise is from protein. And fundamentally, protein does raise your blood sugar. And this is something that we're not taught from our endocrinologists. But it is food that raises your blood sugar, and therefore you need to correct for it with insulin to keep this balance, right? So I told him to take a second dose about 3 hours after, maybe even 2 hours, a little bit sooner to try and help keep him nice and level. And then he did that, and the next day, right after dinner, he sent me a screenshot. And it said 2 words. It was, the graph looked like this. And he said, it worked. So take from that what you will, but that is a story showing just how important this frame of food and insulin equals blood sugar, how important that frame is. Like, by using this frame, you can understand your graphs. And once you understand them, you can correct them. And once you correct them, you can lower your A1C.